Welcome to the Hawks Handmade Film Festival 2.0. My name is Monica Cespedes, and this is my co-host, Chloe Rom.
Tonight, we're going to be looking at the best film productions that North Hartford has to offer.
For the past 3 months, students have been working hard to piece together these films and submit them to us. And tonight, all of that hard work will pay off.
It took a long time to go through all 41 films, but all the winners that are here tonight show off what they have created.
And speaking of which, why don't we thank our amazing judges, Mrs. Arist, Miss Hensel, Miss Hemling, Mr. Wardrobe, Mr. and Mrs. Green, Mr. Doherty, and Mrs. Jessel.
If we're on the topic of thanking people, let's put our hands together for our amazing tech team, Mr. James and Miss Chandler, for making this whole night possible. And let's thank our sponsors that provide the prizes for this event: Appalachian Waxworks, Imagine Outside, Nancy Nelson Jewelry, Bodon Belanca, and Courtney Warrens. Before we forget, the awards are still TBD, so you will need to visit Miss Chandler or Mrs. Green in homeroom to pick up your award.
So let's get back to the point. Tonight, we will look at the first, second, and third place winners from each category, and then once that's done and dusted, we'll look at a few other awards.
So what are the other categories?
I'm glad you asked. The categories are fiction, musical, nonfiction and documentary, PSA and journalism, and lastly, art and animation.
Well, ain't that swell? I can't wait to see who won tonight.
Well, if that's the case, what are we waiting for? Let's get this thing rolling, shall we?
There's so many categories. Where should we even start?
Why don't we start with our fiction category?
That's a nice place to start.
We had 4 films in this section, and out of those 4, we picked the 3 best ones. And without further delay, let's dive right in.
In third place, we have a tie between North Hartford, Baccalaureate by Delaney O'Neill and Riley Stoneback, and The Office opening remake by Grace Feldbush, Reese Showalter, and Tori Henner. In second place, we have a Life Through Two Teenagers, Eyes by Noelle Bailey and Bella Arist.
And now, the winner of the fiction category is Bing Bong Hospital by Chloe Ward.
Let's take a look at that award-winning film.
Studio recording of our new sitcom airing on NBC February 22nd. Our studio audience providing the laughter and applause you'll hear when you see it on real TV. Participation is necessary. And without further ado, here's our pilot episode.
Well, that was fantastic. The story was music to my ears. Speaking of music, isn't that our next category? That is correct.
We had 3 films in this section, and the order goes.
In third place, Someone in the Dark. The runner-up, the runner-up, Lucky Duck parody by Grace Feldbush and Reese Showalter.
And lastly, the award for Best Musical Feature goes to What Once Was by Grace Harron.
We're not done. But I could have the roast beef away. We're not done.
After seeing that, you know what I'm in the mood for?
What's that?
A nice documentary.
Well, you're in luck. That's actually our next category.
I wonder who's on the podium this time around.
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. We still have to tell them how many submissions there were.
Oh yeah, of course.
Anyways, we had 9 in the nonfiction and documentary section, and the winners are...
Third place is split between To You, 1,000 Years in the Future by Andrew Hartlove and Million Little Miracles by Stephanie Arisman. Second place goes to the Puppy documentary by Maddie Rhodes.
And first place goes to...
Oh, can I do it? Please, can I do it? Can I say the name of this one?
No, why?
I want to though.
Fine, go ahead.
Alright, the winner is Queen Mary documentary by Mackenzie Scott.
Queen Mary. Some background on the past of this historical ship, so sit back and enjoy while you learn some of the most historical hauntings documented since the 1930s. The Queen Mary is a Cunard White Star Line ship built by John Brown and Company in Clydebank, Scotland. The ship sits at about 1,019 feet, which is almost 136 feet longer than the infamous Titanic. Setting sail in the 1930s as a troop ship during World War II, the Queen Mary, nicknamed the Grey Ghost, due to its color and how it traveled secretly around the ocean, had around 15,000 men. After its retirement in 1967, the ship permanently docked in Long Beach, California. After its final voyage, it stays at a hotel for people all over the world to come and visit. Although it may seem like a typical cruise liner, its history and tragedy cause the ship to have many mysteries and oddities, causing hauntings and leaving many guests traumatized. After its opening and becoming a permanent hotel, guests have been visiting and witnessing the horrors and hauntings. The ship has endured at least 41 fatalities while it was a working ship. Among the ghosts that were allegedly reported, there is a haunting of a man who was crushed in one of the doors in the engine room. The 18-year-old, known as John Petter, was accidentally crushed by door 13 on July 10th in 1966. Guests reported hearing voices while walking down the door and sometimes seeing greasy handprints appear on the frame of the watertight door. Another report is of the Lady in White, a woman who stayed on the hotel who never reportedly left. She can be seen in a white gown hanging around the first-class lounge. One of the go-to spots while visiting the Queen Mary is the second-class swimming pool, now turned theater. A young girl named Jacqueline Torin, more known as Jackie, drowned in the pool around the ages of 5 or 6. People have reported seeing her full apparition in wet footprints around the pool deck, and have even heard the sounds of giggling and splashing water. The most famous of all the hauntings is a room B340. Shows such as Ghost Hunters and Most Haunted have come to stay at the ship and cover footage. According to the official Queen Mary website, claims that someone was knocking on the door in the middle of the night, and other complaints include bathroom lights turning on by themselves, the sink's faucet turning on and off on its own, and unexplained bathroom door shutting. Some guests have reported the covers of their bed being pulled off while they were asleep, and they wake to see a dark figure standing at the foot of the bed. People have left this room bleeding and covered in scratches. If the room wasn't creepy enough, the hotel helps guests enjoy their haunted stay by including real stories from previous guests on the pillars of the walls, and providing a Ouija board, tarot cards, and a crystal ball. They also include the instructions to the haunted game Bloody Mary by the bathroom mirror. The room is currently priced at $499 a night, but many guests don't stay long enough to make up for that price, as they leave the room in the night scared, terrified, and traumatized. While I may never know the extent of the afterlife, Room B340 proved itself to many, causing some to see true evil and ask the questions of the reality of demonic entities and dark forces. Today I hope you question what you may see, and maybe even do your own deep dive into the history of the historic vessel. And while I can't change people's minds on the afterlife, the reports and found footage of the Queen Mary has made many people believers, and has made me, myself, a skeptic of the unknown.
Saying that. I did, thank you very much. Let's just get on with the next section then. And what might that be? I hope you're ready for news, because it's time for PSA and journalism. How many submissions did we have in this section? We had a whopping 21 films in this category. Whew, okay, well, taking home the bronze is Coffee and Controversy. Taking home the silver is Euphoria Podcast by S.P. Carter. And winning gold for best PSA and journalistic film is Alex Scott.
Hello and welcome to The Shame Game, the podcast of society's hottest topics. Today's topic is a bit more heavier and more hard, so before we start, I'd like to give a trigger warning. This episode contains mentions of rape and sexual abuse/harassment. That being said, this episode we go into more mature discussions on purity and rape culture, and its effects on youth, adults, elderly, and everybody else. Today's guest is Diana Thomas. For background, Diana attended a Catholic school most of her life. Throughout her school life, she's experienced many hard things revolving around beauty culture and rape culture. And with that, let's get into it.
Yes, I would say so. There were lots of times that, they stressed that you had to be pure and sacred and everything when you got married, that you were supposed to be a virgin, and they always stressed we had religion was one of our classes, and they always taught us how, that you should save everything for marriage, and it was sex and all of that was involved in under marriage in the the sacrament of marriage.
Yeah.
And but we had terrible problems, when I was a young girl, because back then boys would be boys, and it got to the point where we always wore skirts. We always had jumpsuits that we wore to school, and the boys would come and pull your skirt up.
Yeah.
In the in the middle of the playground.
Uh-huh.
So it got to the point that I think for 4 years I wore shorts underneath of my skirt all the time.
Yeah.
And that was because I was told that that it was up to me to make that change, so that they didn't see your underwear.
Yeah, that's exactly what purity culture does.
Yeah.
It basically, it tells you, that you're responsible for everything that a guy does, and I think that's why you probably felt obligated to wear shorts, because
Right.
you felt responsible.
Right, because I was like, well, I'm not letting them see my underwear.
Yeah.
And, back then, I mean, there was a lot of boys would come up to you and pull your bra strap and stuff like that. To me, that was we didn't know anything about sexual, sexual harassment or anything like that.
Yeah.
It was never discussed in our school because, back then it just wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't discussed, nothing about sex except for, the act of marriage sex.
Yeah.
Was ever discussed or anything like that. And we had other times I can think of other times whenever we'd have a health class surrounding anything to do with sex or kissing or anything like that, it was always the boys would laugh through it and the girls were always serious about it.
Yeah.
Because it like you were saying, in the purity culture, it ends up being on your shoulders.
Yeah.
So, and when we would go to the carnivals and stuff like that, even during the summer at school, we had to watch what we wore.
Yeah.
We weren't allowed to wear tube tops and stuff like that, because they would be that's just not appropriate.
Yeah.
Right
now, for my school, for our health courses, I've noticed that they spend maybe 4 classes on talking about sexual involvement and everything.
Right.
And it's I don't understand why. We had one day to talk about consent, and I'm pretty sure half of the boys in there didn't know what consent was until that lesson. And I feel specifically, purity culture also plays a lot in rape, because everybody, especially for rape victims, because when they come out and they they make an accusation that they were raped or they were sexually assaulted.
You should always take them seriously.
Exactly. But the thing is that purity culture plays into how we see rape victims, and that's usually why we as a society that doesn't believe rape victims, they make them out to be liars. Right. Because they're what were you wearing? What what was the context? Did you give any ideas? Did you do anything? And it just makes them feel that's your responsibility, because it's what you wear is your responsibility. What you wear is consent. That's what purity culture is.
And that's not true.
Exactly.
You should be able to wear whatever you want.
Exactly.
There's a great Jodie Foster movie that I was just thinking about.
How informational, wouldn't you think so? I couldn't agree more. Can I tell you something? I mean, we're a bit busy. I know, but it'll be quick. But go on. I forgot. Seriously? Okay. Let's just get to our last section, alright? Okay, fine. Art and animation, everyone. Out of the 3 films, the rankings are... In the number 3 seed, it's Skip by Leo Tolliver. And in the number 2 spot, it's Defying Gravity by Emma Searcy. And last but not least, at the number 1 spot for the art and animation category goes to Neighbors by Ari Height.
When we wake up from our slumber, from what they told us we will remember all of the numbers. Is what they told us. You are bigger than the system at hand. Some of you clearly
have a confession to make.
Oh, brother.
I forgot what comes after the categories.
It's the additional awards, remember?
What other awards? I don't remember talking about this.
We talked about this. We have visual effects, best acting, most funny, most creative, and best overall.
We talked about that?
Yeah, don't you remember?
I remember you saying something about a sandwich and pizza.
Moving on. The next award for best visual effects goes to Neighbors.
Best award for acting goes to Coffee and Controversy.
Hello, and thank you for tuning in for Coffee and Controversy. I'm your host, Nia, and in today's episode, we'll be going over some of the irritations we have with society regarding women. One of the main ones we talk about for a little bit is infantilization. The dictionary definition for this word is to treat someone as a child in a way which demises their maturity in age or experience. This has been going on since ancient Greece and influenced the way men view women today. This conversation, like I said before, is going to be focused on women. I feel like a discussion like this needs to be had because our society can be a dangerous place for women, and talking about it with a group of trusted people allow you to find comfort and help with situations you might be going through or experienced. It also helps you understand how society is changing for the better or worse and ways to avoid certain outcomes. So buckle up, grab your favorite coffee, and enjoy.
So for today's topics, on FaceTime my friends. Would you guys like to introduce yourselves?
Yes, I would like to introduce myself first. My name is Joyen.
I'm Jamez. I'm Anissa.
I'm TJ.
Okay, and so I want you guys to guess the percentage about from the question I'm about to ask you, or just a statement. Out of 4,149 men ages from 18 to 35, what do you think the percentage of men prefer women to be totally bare? Like, no hair whatsoever. What do you think the percentage is?
I think that it's at least 60 to 70%.
I'll say 87. I would say like 80%.
I know, weird.
Well, surprisingly, it's actually only 46% that like them totally bare. But there's 30% that like them like neatly trimmed. So there's hair, but not enough hair where you can actually like feel it, kind of, you know. So add those numbers up. It's close. It's a good number of men. They're up there. I just want to know how you guys view that. You know, like women with body hair and like the attractiveness of you if you have body hair, just like attractiveness in general.
So from what I've seen, with men who like women without body hair, they have a lot of rules for them. Oh, they need this certain type of height, they look like this. Oh, they can't be using bad words and stuff. It's like they're asking for a child. It's really confusing to me, and it's scary. And they like to go with, especially with high school boys, like to go for younger girls, people who don't know what they're doing. And like the boys that will be saying, oh, I want a girl with no body hair, they're armpits be the size of Rapunzel's hair. Like, they will have armpit hair the size of Rapunzel's hair. But like, when it comes to women, they're so bothered by it because women are supposed to be pure and clean. But like, it just doesn't make sense to me. Even if you have body hair, like, you're still a gorgeous person. Like, just don't be seeking male validation, because male validation is not right. It's not right.
Men are very odd. Like, they're just oddballs, odd characters. Like, they have double standards that are so strong. It's like, and they'll be so wishy, like Joyen said, they will have hair as long as whatever, and it's like, no, she can't be like that. Like, who are you to tell somebody how to upkeep with their body hair? That's natural. I agree with all of you guys, and I definitely feel like whether you have no body hair or you kind of just like keep it trimmed or you don't do anything at all, I feel like it really is up to you. It shouldn't be up to anybody else. And if a man has a problem with that, that's his problem, not yours, so you shouldn't be worried about it.
This girl, I don't know, I think she's like a singer or something like that, but she was like, yeah, they all just love my soft voice and how small I am, and you know, they just fantasize about me being with me. Oh, like, girl,
It's like so weird to like, it's like, especially when it's like grown people doing this, like people in their 20s, they'll be like they'll talk like they're in high school, they're like, yeah, I'm like 5'3". I'm like really like I do like I have a high voice. I'm so short. I have no body hair. It's like I don't even know. Are you a grown woman or are you a high school student? Like, and it's like those
Girl, high school students are hairy.
Well, like like childlike people, because high school students like when you first go to high school, like they're not really at that age. There's like those women that kind of justify it. Those are male validation seekers. Like you just want that male. You just want men to be like, yeah, that's the girl right there. That's
The film that was most funny was Bing Bong Hospital.
The award for most creative goes to Neighbors by Ari Hyde.
Now, the moment we have been waiting for. The time is now.
The winner of the Best Overall Feature Film in the Hawks Made Film Festival 2.0 goes to Neighbors by Ari Hyde.
Such a great ending for a great event.
Agreed! And that's it from us. I'm Chloe Rom,
And I'm Monica Cespedes.
and until next year, see ya! Bye.